saying orientation is locked. Eh. I hope I'm not sideways. This shit says orientation is locked. Rotate device back. I don't understand why the fuck is telling me that. Just give me a moment. I want to make sure the camera is not crazy. Am I even... Okay. I wonder if I can turn it sideways on my thing. It's not what I wanted. Maybe I could set it up here. Oh. Can I? Sorry for the technical difficulties. Still trying to figure this shit out. Drop it. Going out. Shit. Alright. Thank you. It took me like... That's still crooked. I'm still crooked. It took me like 8 hours, 9 hours to do it. Alright. I guess this is okay. Alright. What's up, everybody? Watching live and watching in the future. Why does it keep going low like that? Alright. So this is the Tantric BDSM connection, and what we're going to talk about today, I'm not really going to like lecture too much or too hard, because I feel like between Daddy Shiva and myself, we've both given out we've put out a lot of information already on like Tantra, what it is, what it isn't. And there's a lot of free stuff and there's a lot of paid stuff. So what this video is going to be is more so techniques that I use. It's connection, like the connection between BDSM and Tantra. And mainly just techniques on how to integrate the two, because a lot of us who practice Tantra, we're doing shit that's in the BDSM community, that's like normal in the BDSM community or whatever. So I really just want to bridge the gap, because just like there's a miseducation with Tantra, there's a miseducation with BDSM. You're going to see me touching this a lot because it keeps like trying to go to sleep for some reason. So yeah, so this video, I'm not going to explain what Tantra is. I'm going to explain more about what BDSM is and that culture, again, because we just have so much information already that I feel like it would just be redundant. So if you check the description box, I went ahead and plugged the link to some of our paid stuff. I put a free PDF in there that we made. It's originally like $10 or whatever, but I just threw it in for free. And I put in a a discount code. So if you check the description box, there's a discount code so that you can get 55% off all of our tantric products. To if you're not familiar, if you haven't, you know, been keeping up with all the tantric stuff that we've been teaching, you can go get the stuff for 55% off. But I also, like I said, I put in a free PDF that has a lot of techniques that are specific to Tantra. So yeah, just check it out. I got a bunch of stuff in the links in the description box or whatever. So check that out. So the first thing, I mean, we have to, I want to explain what Tantra is. So Tantra is, well, it just means technique and method, honestly. But it's a technique or method that connects you to the divine feminine or the feminine realm. And you know, the feminine realm is the unseen aspect of everything. It's the shit that makes the plants grow that we can't see. Where the masculine realm is the plants itself that we see growing. The darkness, basically, is the feminine realm. The subconscious is the feminine realm. The yoniverse is the feminine realm. So Tantra is any technique that connects you to that. Tantra isn't specific to sex. Like there's sexual Tantra techniques or sexual tantric techniques. But then there are other tantric techniques such as breathing. And yes, you know, breathing is a big part of sex. So it intertwines a lot because a lot of the non-sexual techniques can also be used during sex. So not in that PDF. There's another webinar that I think it's only $10, but like I said, use the discount code and you'll get 55% off. There's a Daddy Shiva did, I think it's called Tantric Techniques. No, it's Tantric Tutorial. I don't fucking know. It's a webinar and notes. If you look on the screen, it's like a girl, she's like on fire. I can't remember if it's called like Tantric Tutorials, Tantric Techniques. I don't fucking know. It's something. The bitch is on fire. She dancing. You'll see it. That's only like $10. He goes, it's a video and notes. So he goes into breathing techniques, which are essentially the fundamentals of Tantra because you gotta breathe. And breathing is actually extremely sacred and divine when we really take like deeper looks at it, because when we inhale and exhale, there's a moment in between the inhale and the exhale. There's a moment of death. There's a moment of nothing. There's a moment of where that inhale turns into an exhale. And if you were to just take a couple moments to like just, okay, I don't fucking know. I hope it didn't mess up. My phone is being crazy. We'll find out. If you take a moment to really try to pinpoint that moment where the inhale turns into an exhale, one, you're gonna struggle. But once you tap into that right there is death. It's the divine feminine realm. So yeah, check that out. But yeah, that's what Tantra is essentially. It's not just kinky sex. It's not even just sacred sex. It's not specific to sex, but sex is an amazing technique because of the orgasm, and sex is the ultimate creation process. Like that's how we got here, through sex. Sex is everywhere. You know, the plants, when they pollinate, that's sex. Like you have allergies, you're allergic to plant sex. Like sex is everywhere. It's the creative process. So it's not specific to like, you know, dick and vag or whatever, but just the act of creation, that creative force is what we're tapping into, because that's the divine feminine in its purest essence, you know. So yeah, Tantra is that, any technique that connects you and allows you to submit to that, because the divine feminine is wild. It is untamed. It is the darkness of the sky and the universe, you know, and the masculine is the stars in that dark sky. But yeah, you want to, the key is to submit to it, because it can't 100% be tamed. So yeah, BDSM, much like Tantra, is hypersexualized. It's not all about sex. So BDSM, first and foremost, if you see me looking, it's because I have my notes, because I don't want to go off or whatever, fucking la-di-da-di world. BDSM, it stands for bondage, discipline, sadism, and masochism. So sadism is basically when you like to inflict pain onto other people. And masochism is when you like pain inflicted on yourself. And you know what's crazy? Shadow work is, in my opinion, a form of masochism. Because that shit, when you trigger yourself into these intense emotions and these painful situations and scenarios, and when we step back and time travel and put ourselves back into those painful, traumatic situations where we're inflicting pain on ourselves, but we're doing it for a greater cause, you know, for a bigger picture. And us as healers, especially when we start dealing with hypnosis. If you don't know, I'm a certified hypnotherapist working on my master level NLP certification. But as healers, we induce the pain for others. So if you can't, drop down into that meditative state and go back to that traumatic experience, people like me come along and guide you. People like Daddy Shiva and the Dalai Lama, they come along and they guide you into not only going into those traumatic experiences, but healing, working, and coming out as the phoenix. So just off that, if you're just looking at the title, BDSM, bondage, discipline, sadism, masochism, you see spiritual shit already. Pain to self, masochism. I said masochism. Masochism, and sadism, inflicting pain on others, making others do shadow work. Or when you trigger someone else. When you trigger someone else, if you enjoy it, like that Scorpio shit, if you enjoy revealing people's shadows and getting them to talk about traumatic experiences and pushing them to heal, you're a sadist. You're a sadist. And that's cool. Welcome to the BDSM world. Again, BDSM is over-sexualized, but BDSM is a lifestyle. All right? People who practice BDSM, they're not all about busting a nut, just like people who practice Tantra and Tantric shit, There's niggas doing Tantra and they just breathing for 5 fucking hours as a meditation. There's people in the BDSM world, there's this shit called, what the fuck is it called? Munch. And a munch is basically when a group of people in the BDSM community come together and they just hang out and they talk about shit that they like in a judgment-free zone. That turns them on. That gets them going. Not even on like a sexual level, but that is that self-satisfaction for them. Munch. So with BDSM, when you're going to like dungeons and parties, a dungeon is basically, it's usually a club. There's a lot of them in DC and New York. Sometimes regular clubs will have like, they're basically sex clubs, but they do more than host sex events. It's a safe space for you to explore all of your sexual fantasies, all of your desires, everything. It's a judgment-free, it's a safe space. I know sometimes the internet will try to make you think there are no safe spaces. BDSM wants you to know that there are safe spaces, and they're called dungeons. That's where you meet other people. In dungeons, it's not always a sex party. Like, they have munch events. So they'll host events where it's like, ultimately all of us are here because, you know, we want to explore sexual things. We have different fantasies. We're not necessarily vanilla. Vanilla is a term that's used to describe just traditional sex. It's not bad. It's just, it's regular. It's fundamental. There we go. It's the baseline, you know, and then you add things to it. It's, you know, guy on girl, potentially missionary. It's vanilla, but a lot of these dungeons hold just social events so that you can get to know other people who are like you and who want to explore different aspects of themselves and different aspects of their sexuality. Well, explore different aspects of themselves through sexuality and BDSM, so bondage, discipline, sadism, because like I said, sadism and masochism isn't specific to physical sex. And we'll talk about that more when we get into the kinks and the archetypes or whatever. But they basically want to explore that. People who are into BDSM, they're not necessarily fucked up in the head. A lot of them are, but just like with Tantra, a lot of people doing spiritual shit. Nobody was like, I'm gonna be a fucking spiritualist because my life is perfect and I need to understand why my life is perfect. Nobody entered BDSM saying I'm perfect and you get what I'm saying? So there are things that people are exploring and understanding about themselves. In the BDSM world, just like in the spiritual world, or you know, in the tantric world. Again, Tantra and BDSM are both hypersexualized, but both of them focus on diving into the unseen aspects of yourself, really diving into the subconscious. BDSM is taking a little bit more sexual approach than Tantra. But like I said, when we start getting into shit like TPE, which is a type of kink in BDSM, then you're no longer dealing with sex. You're dealing with straight mental stuff. So yeah, let's talk about that now. Let's talk about the different kinks and fetishes. So with BDSM, there's kinks, there's fetishes, there's archetypes. A kink and a fetish, the terms are used interchangeably, but essentially a fetish is something that you need to happen to bust a nut. Like, it needs to be there. If I have a foot fetish, I need some fucking feet if I'm gonna come. Like, I need it. If it's a kink is a more broad term. All right. So kink is like bondage, fire play, shit like that, you know, collaring, and TPE. Okay, so what I mentioned before, TPE stands for total power exchange. So here's a little secret about me and my relationship. TPE is almost the center of me and my lover's relationship, because before I got into the relationship with him, I had severe control issues. Extremely controlling. Like, I had issues with releasing, you know, and you know, I do my spiritual shit and I go through and I do my shadow work, I meditate, do some rituals and shit, and I'm like breaking through that. But with TPE, you basically, I give up all of that power that I'm used to holding in every aspect of life. So there's times where we are gonna get ready to cook, and I'm like, shit, I want some fucking chicken Alfredo, and he's the one cooking, and he's like, I feel like making turkey burgers. TPE, total power exchange, is me completely submitting to that, especially because he's the one cooking. So me, instead of fighting and being combative and being like, no, well, let's find a middle ground. Let's fucking, because again, middle grounds are good, but when you're dealing with a bitch like me who had control issues, I don't need no middle ground. I need to learn to completely submit, learn the art of submission, and then integrate being a sub and being a dom, like submission and dominance. You can't have a middle ground if you only know dominance. So I would just release that and be like, you know what? No chicken Alfredo for me. You're right. Letting him be in charge, letting him take the lead, me releasing that power. That's a part of the BDSM lifestyle. That's literally, that's TPE, total power exchange. That's me completely releasing my power and completely trusting him. BDSM is a lot about trust. Just like Tantra is a lot about trust. You have to trust the divine feminine, that when you're doing these sexual techniques or these breathing techniques, that when you start to have an experience, you're not going to die. Because there's some breathing techniques that gets your heart pounding and you think you're about to have a panic attack or a heart attack, but you need to trust that that's not what it is. You're not going to die. Or if you do die, then it's for good purpose or whatever. It's about trust. Trusting that power, trusting that realm, trusting the unseen. A lot of us we have a hard time. It's not that we don't trust what we can't see. We just live in such a hyper masculine world where seeing is believing. And not only is seeing believing, but being able to see it and recreate it the exact same way. And that's not how chaos works. That's not how the universe works. That's not how the divine feminine works. So Tantra and BDSM, there's a lot of trust in that. So with total power exchange, it's me trusting that his judgment or his decisions in our relationship are, I'm safe. I'm okay to listen to him. I'm okay to let him take the wheel. Especially as a man, So yeah, that's actually a kink. And it's not really sexual, but it's everyday life. But that's why BDSM is a lifestyle. It's not just sex. Now, you do get sex, like I said, with bondage and shibari. So shibari is actually, so bondage is tying yourself up. Well, not yourself, but being tied up. And shibari is specific to the Japanese culture. And you may have seen like pictures floating around the internet with girls tied up in ropes and like real cute designs and shit. That's actually shibari. Yeah, it's Japanese. Shibari is more ritualistic, and you deal more with like the beauty aesthetic of how you're tying the ropes. So the kinks that I'm gonna relate to Tantra are bondage / shibari, breath play, collaring, and TPE. So I already talked about TPE, which is total power exchange. And like I said, no matter if you're male, female, or anything in between, TPE, submitting to the masculine, submitting to the feminine, it isn't specific to genders, because my lover's, his divine feminine power was stronger than mine for a while, and my divine masculine was stronger than his. So it's not, don't even lock the genders into, don't lock the divine genders into physical genders. So when you're dealing with total power exchange, should I talk about that now? So yeah, with bondage is going to help force yourself to submit on a physical level. And sometimes we can work two ways. Like, we can work from the inside out, or we can work from the outside in. We can work where we think about something, we meditate on it, and then our actions change. Or sometimes we can change our actions first, and then the internal stuff starts to change. Bondage and shibari, however you say that shit, you're working from the outside in. Basically, with just regular bondage, like I said, tying yourself up, having yourself tied up in sex, and being completely constrained when you're about to orgasm. Because regardless if you're male or female, when you're about to bust a nut, what's the first thing we do? We tighten up. Our fucking legs tighten up. Everything just tightens up. Like our breath, our throat, like everything tightens up. Bondage is going to help you release all of that, because you haven't really bust a good nut, a good divine nut, until you've completely relaxed and submit to it. That's when you experience some kundalini, bitch. When you can fully just relax your body through that orgasm, which is hard to do, because like I said, the first thing you do is you tense up and then you release. But bondage and shibari will help force yourself to relax, because you're constrained. Yeah. So also in the description box, I put one of my favorite website links for BDSM. It's rekink.com. They got a lot of free information. Because BDSM got a lot of terminology. There's a lot of shit out there. Just like there's a lot of different spiritual practices, there's a lot of different kinks and fetishes and archetypes and techniques. And rekink.com goes through, and they have a lot of free manuals for if you want to learn some of this stuff and play. You don't need a partner for BDSM and a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of solo stuff too. So whether you got a partner or whether you by yourself, you good. The link is in the description box. Check that out. Yeah. So what was I saying? Orgasm, submitting. Yeah, just like in Tantra, you want to submit to the divine feminine and that creative force. And what did we say the creative force was? The orgasm. Kundalini. So bondage is going to help you really do that. When you start fucking with shibari, in my opinion, that's when you start fucking with sacred geometry. When you're playing with the ropes, you can get ropes from your local sex store for like $5. That you can get ropes. You ain't even got to get like a real rope. You can tie together some neckties. Like, you can get creative, just like you can when you're doing rituals or whatever. But tying yourself, again, shibari is more focused on the aesthetic. I think that's when you want to start fucking with sacred geometry. You want to start using 60-degree angles and shit. Where am I getting notifications? But just bondage in general is going to help you submit to that orgasm. And when you submit, you are allowing yourself to fully take on everything that emotion has to offer. If you watched my last webinar, I talked about how emotions and feelings are portals to factions of knowledge, to different worlds. And an orgasm is going to be different every time, because there's different energy going into it every time, especially when you're doing sex magic and you're doing, you got your new moon pussy popping or your full moon pussy popping. There's different energies going into it. So although sometimes, well, you know what? Let's backtrack. On a biological level, there are 3 different types of orgasms that women can experience. Sorry, men, I don't know much about. I know y'all got 2. You can like have the ejaculation and then you can have an anal orgasm. But women, we can have 3 types of orgasms. We can have the internal, like a vaginal orgasm. We can have an external clitoral orgasm, and we can have an anal orgasm. Men, you can have like an anal orgasm and the ejaculation orgasm or whatever. But each time you bust a nut, it's not only potentially going to be a different physical orgasm, depending on what you're doing, it's going to be a different energetic orgasm. So these feelings they all have information in them. Because like I said, your emotions are intellectual things. You got to go back to, it's only a $5 webinar if you want to go back and get it. I might actually, after this, check back. I'm going to go and put that so you can get that discounted. It's only $5, but whatever, I throw it in there. Yeah. So there's information. There's something to be gained. There's some wisdom to be gained from each orgasm, whether it's about yourself, whether it's about the person you're having sex with, whether it's about the environmental circumstances in which you're having sex under. So if you're having sex under the Sagittarius new moon that just passed, there was some big abundance energy going on. So every nut you bust had something to do with either moving closer to abundance or moving further away from abundance. Because again, every time you orgasm, every time you do this creative act, you're creating something. You may not create a baby, but you are creating an energetic baby. You're creating something because your creative energy is mixing with everything around you, especially the female orgasm. So yeah, you want to fully submit to those sensations of that orgasm so that you can receive all that information accurately. Bondage is going to help you do that. Bondage is again working from the outside in. You physically constrain yourself so that you can't go nowhere. You could probably tighten up, but one of the things that I like to do, or that I used to do, is massages. So you wanna be constrained, and you want to get a massage or massage your partner. This is more so for partner play, male, female, whatever the fuck. If you're a woman, you tie your man up and you massage him. You massage his legs, you massage his chest, his throat. You massage him to get him to relax before you give him like a massage or whatever. And and whenever you feel him tightening up, you massage it out. You muscle memory that shit. You get his body to remember, relax, so that you can receive all of these codes and all of this energy accurately. Same thing with the woman. You tie her down, and you massage her, and you make her come. You give her whatever the fuck that shit is called. There's a name for those type of massages. I should know, but whatever. Yeah, that's gonna really help you train your body into submitting to this energy. And like I said, it's gonna affect you on a subconscious level, because your body on a muscle memory physical level is like, okay, I'm learning to submit to this physical orgasm. That's when women start to squirt. You have to be completely relaxed to squirt. Those divine waters, But on a subconscious level, you're learning to submit to the divine feminine, which is everything Tantra teaches you. You're learning to submit to this force, this divine feminine force. So I hope you're seeing the connections here. I hope I'm explaining this well. Breath play. Breath play is basically choking, gagging, all that shit. When you're dealing with that, I would say most people who do breath play, whether they're conscious of it or not, everybody like to get smacked up, choked up a little bit, when they fucking or whatever. I mean, if not, that's cool, but most of us do. You want to be really cautious of that, because the breath, like I said a little bit earlier, it's one of the most divine things. It's amazing how we can do it both consciously and unconsciously. It's the life force. It's the bridge into other worlds. It's the bridge into that divine feminine world. So when you're cutting off the breath, I personally think that should only be done when you're holding in an orgasm. So the benefits, let's talk about the benefits of ejaculation and holding in an orgasm. Women benefit from what I've read in Tantric text. I'll plug those in also. Actually, we have, if you go to our PDF list, we have a sacred Tantric text PDF list. It's $7.77. You can get it for 55% off with the code down there. Read through those. It'll talk about what I'm saying. There's a couple all the text in there talk about what I'm saying. But essentially, when you hold in an orgasm, women benefit more from releasing the orgasm and pushing it out. It's like a fucking pussy beam of just power, you know? It pushes out. And men actually benefit more from ejaculating. And I can't fully explain how that feels because I don't got a dick. I don't got a physical dick. But they have that, you know how when you orgasm and you bust a good nut, you feel it there in your genitals, but you also feel it like everywhere else. Like the shit lights up your arms, your heart gets to pounding, like you feel it everywhere else. So basically when men ejaculate, they get all of that times 10. So they get like the energetic benefits or the other benefits. Because when you ejaculate, it's really to create life. But when you ejaculate, you're giving that life energy to your heart and your chakras. Same thing with women. Only our orgasm just in general is different. Because we don't have sperm, we don't have a seed, we don't push out a seed, we push out pure energy. So holding in that first orgasm is like basically supercharging your next orgasm. So it's like you'll get, excuse me, if you're a woman, you'll get close to busting a nut and you'll hold it in. You won't do it. That's when, in my opinion, you want to do breath play. That's when you want to choke, when you want to help contain that life force, when you want to help contain all that energy and really get the pot boiling. You know, if you trying to manifest some big shit and you need to bust a hard nut for this, you choke, you contain. That's when you want to do breath play. I don't think you want to cut off the life force for anything else. Again, this is for when you're mixing like sacred sexuality and BDSM. If you're not doing no sex magic, honestly, if you're conscious and you're watching this video, you know better. Like you know what the fuck is up. Yeah, so you know that fucking ain't just fucking. What is this? My hair. So yeah, I don't know why I said that. Random disclaimer. So yeah, now collaring. Collaring is essentially, it's putting a collar on somebody, you know, like you would a dog or a cat or a rabbit or whatever fucking animals you got in your house. And it's a form of ownership. It's not to be mistaken with bondage. You can use collaring in the BDSM world. It's a whole ritual. And collaring branches into, it's like a tool. It kind of branches into different factions of kinks and shit. So like total power exchange, my lover and I, we had a whole submission ceremony. We had a whole collaring ceremony. Well, we didn't have a collaring ceremony. We didn't have a traditional collaring ceremony because I'm into a bunch of shit, not just collaring. But basically, you're submitting yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, to this person. And it's represented with a collar. If you see girls, well, nowadays I think it's really just a trend. Like bitches just be wearing collars because they cute. But you know, like traditionally, people who are actually in the BDSM world, girls who are into kitten play, which is basically they like to act like cats, and they have a master or owner who takes care of them, and they meow and they cuddle, and there's a lot of shit in the BDSM world. And if you click that link in the description box, Kink, you'll see, you know. But like I said, it's a judgment-free zone. I laugh because I'm like into this shit. I was into kitten play, but the more I started to learn about Tantra, the more I understood my kinks and was like, wow, I get why I'm into this. I get why this brings me sexual gratification. I try to mix the two words. So yeah, collaring isn't necessarily bondage. I know in porn you probably see like the guys who'll have the girl in the collar and he's like forcing her to suck his dick and shit. Collaring is more so symbolic of me submitting myself to you. So with a total power exchange relationship, you probably are gonna do collaring as a ritualistic ceremony to just say, hey, it's official. Just like niggas have weddings and they put fucking rings on, that's collaring for your fingers. Same shit. All right. I think when you're dealing with that, that's gonna help with submitting. So just a side note, in my opinion, regardless if you're man or woman, when you're dealing with collaring and bondage, I mean, you can collar. Honestly, you can collar just like how you can, give the masculine energy a ring and give the feminine energy a ring. You can collar for both, But I think when you want to integrate Tantra and BDSM into your sexual life, I think you want to ultimately submit more to the feminine energy that's happening. So like when you're having sex, there's always a fucker and then there's a fucky. Like there's someone that's fucking and they're doing the work, and then there's someone that's getting fucked. And they, you exchange, you go back and forth. Some people go back and forth. That's called switch, actually. If you're a verse or a switch, you can either you're comfortable being dominant and you're comfortable being submissive. You're comfortable being the active male principle and you're comfortable being the submissive feminine principle. Okay? So if you're the fucker, if you're the one fucking, you are the active male principle. Doesn't mean that you're the man. It just means that you're the active male principle. When you fucking riding his dick like a BMX, you are the active male principle. So I think when you're doing bondage and collaring, or using the collar in bondage, because you can get collars and they got like rings and shit on them so that it can go into the bondage play, but then they also have just decorative collars that you don't actually pull and control with or whatever. But whoever is wearing that or whoever's being tied up, I think they should be the active male principle. So, prime example, if I'm sucking dick, right, and he grabs my hair, that's me. Even though I'm being the active male principle, I'm the one fucking choking on the dick, I'm the one exerting the pleasure, he's the one controlling it. So I'm doing this for his pleasure. I'm submitting to his submission, I hope I'm explaining this well. It's like control them. Control the masculine energy. If you are receiving, if I'm getting my pussy ate, I'm going to tell you how to eat my pussy. That's the type of power play bondage I think needs to be done, because then you're actively listening to the sub. And what did we say the divine feminine was? Submissive. So when we're doing that, we're actively listening to the submissive. We're actively listening to that divine feminine energy. Again, we're acting it out on a physical level, but on an energetic subconscious level, that's what we're doing. So if I'm sucking his dick, he needs to pull my collar. He needs to hold my head. He needs to tell me what he likes to do, and I do that. And vice versa. Again, this is just with partners. Solo play is a little different. When you are solo, you can still tie yourself up and use toys, use your fingers, use whatever. I personally think if you're gonna be solo and make it ritualistic, go all out. Fuck the porn, unless it's porn of you. Watch your own porn. Don't be on fucking X videos or Pornhub or whatever, excuse me, or whatever else shit. Watch your own porn, you know. Circulate that power. But you can tie yourself up. You can talk to yourself. You can, visualizations are perfect. I mean, they're perfect for solo and partner play or whatever, but especially if you're solo, visualizations. The free PDF that I threw in there that we created, it's a, you know, Daddy Shiva and I, it's our personal PDF. It's not just some shit we Googled. It's, you know, stuff that we've done and we can vouch for. There's a lot of good information in there. A lot of exclusive meditations and shit. Just go check it out, yo. Just check it out. It's in the description box. Just click the link. See, hop on this train. All right. Visualizations. Talking to yourself. Visualizing sex with your higher self. If you're a man and you're beating your dick, or whatever you want to call it, visualize your divine feminine as a goddess coming down, riding your dick like a BMX. Like, that's some powerful shit. If you're a woman, talk to yourself, yo. Talk to yourself like how your divine masculine would talk to you. Or, you know, fuck, if you're having issues with the divine feminine, because I used to have issues with the divine feminine. Like I said, I was super controlling. I was super masculine. I got into a lot of lesbian shit. I watched a lot of lesbian porn. I visualized a lot of lesbian shit. To get me into that power, I would watch myself masturbate. To get into that zone of being connected to that energy on a physical level and a subconscious level. So yeah, if you're by yourself, visualizations and everything else that's in that PDF, do that shit. Bondage helps. You could tie yourself down. They have restraints, again, at your local sex store, Adam and Eve. They got, like, it looked like this big ass X, and it got like cuffs on the end of it. You could probably get that joint for like $30, or you could make your own, for real, if you creative. And it goes under your mattress, and it basically puts restraints on the end of the bed and the top of the bed. Tie your legs down, make yourself come. Submission. Talk yourself through it. You know, if you a woman, whose pussy is this? Say it to yourselves. Listen to yourself moan. If you're a man, listen to yourself moan, you know. Listen to yourself breathe. Do that shit. Get real nasty. Ain't nobody looking but your ancestors. And I ain't talking about your dead grandma. You know, I'm talking about your ancestors who invented this shit. Alright? There's some nasty motherfuckers in Egypt, okay? And here, the Mayans, all that shit. They was nasty. Sex magic is real, alright? We ain't got all these ancient fucking freaky ass texts because niggas was being vanilla. So, like, just do that shit, yo. Do that shit. It's you. It's your power. Create a sacred space. If you don't have a sacred space, you don't even need to be watching this video. You need to pause this shit. You need to go find a fucking corner in your room. You need to clean it and make it a sacred space. Alright? You don't need sage, Palo Santo, bitch. Go outside, grab some flowers, grab some leaves, invoke the fucking fairies and the nature spirits. Fucking ashe to the nature spirits, known and unknown. I invite you into this space to clean and anoint this room and light them motherfuckers on fire. Alright? Create a sacred space so that you can do these sexual things with no judgment. Don't judge yourself. And don't have anything around you. And sometimes, like, if you live with family or friends or you got a roommate, it's a little hard, you know, because you don't want niggas hear you masturbating, talking about some, yeah, whose pussy is this? But, like I said, create that sacred space, anoint your room with whatever the fuck you gotta do, and get shit popping. Trust me. Talking about altars. When you're dealing with toys, for solo play in particular, I mean, use toys. Toys are great for solo and for partner play. You know, get handcuffs, rope, Flogs are basically shit that, you know, you be beating each other with. And when you're side note, when you're dealing with flogs and impact is a type of kink. It's pain and then pleasure. So don't just go around getting the shit beat out of you and then having the shit beat out of you, because then you go through some shit called sub down. Is that what the shit's called? Sub down, I think. It's like top down and then sub down. Basically, it's a type of kink because people like that feeling. Have you ever had sex with someone? Well, we all have. We've had sex with someone and it was great. Sub zone. I don't know. I can't remember. It's on the website. But it's basically when, after you finish having sex, you start having those negative worry thoughts. Either you're like, damn, I hope I satisfied them. Damn, what if they leave? Damn, what if they not happy? Like all of those worrisome ass thoughts that come after having some great ass sex. Some people are into that. Some people like that shit. Some people like it because ultimately that's their shadow and they use it to fucking take the bull by the horn. But that's a thing. So when you're dealing with impact, what you don't want to do with BDSM is create a whole new trauma. You know, you don't want to go exploring your sexual kinks and then get traumatized because you think you were raped, but in reality y'all didn't have a safe word and that person didn't know. So with impact play, I've seen it a lot. You definitely, whenever you smack, whenever you pinch, whenever you bite, you always go back over with pleasure. That's why they got flogs and they have ticklers. All right, just trust me on that. Even if it's with yourself, you know. I don't know who's slapping their own titties, but there's somewhere in America right now there's a bitch slapping her own titties. So just be cautious of that. So yeah, when you're dealing with toys, so silicone in general for the ladies, it absorbs energy. Ideally, you want to use, if you are using like dildos and shit, I know they don't vibrate, but if you are using dildos, you want a glass or a crystal. Those get expensive. Like you can't get a glass dildo for $10. Not a good one. That's not gonna cut your pussy up. So if you can get more organic toys, do that. On Etsy, they make crystal dildos for super cheap. If you can, super cheap being like $30 to $40 depending on your size preference. Hop on Etsy, get some. If not, I do recommend that you put your toys on your altar, because again, this is very valuable energy that you're fucking with, and you don't just want to waste it. You don't want to just keep it locked up in this silicone toy that made you feel well and then throw that shit in your fucking underwear drawer or under your pillow. I mean, under your pillow is a great place because you sleep there. So yes, put your dildos under your pillow. Fellas, put your fucking fleshlights under your pillow. If you know you're using that. If you have lube or coconut oil, have it specific for sex rituals, masturbations, like specific for those self-sexual tantric practices. Put it on your altar. Put that shit to work. Don't just let it go into the air. And again, if you don't have a fucking altar, I already told you what to do. Do that shit. I don't care. My first altar was a corner in my room. So it was on the floor. You ain't gotta be nothing fancy, bitch. Cheap. So yeah, that's how you can integrate this tantric stuff with this BDSM shit, because it's all the same thing. Like it really is all the same shit. It's just one is more conscious of what's going on. It's like two sides of the same coin. So yeah, any toys you have, put them on your altar, you know, pussy juice and all. Just rub the juices on any sigils that you have, any statues, any deities that you fuck with. You can have sex with those deities. Donald Tyson has this book called Sexual Alchemy. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's inside of the PDF list that you can get 50% off. Description box. Well, 55% off. I think Sexual Alchemy is there. I'm not 100% sure. Honestly, I have it on my laptop somewhere. Check back in like 24 hours if you're watching this video like right now live, or if you're watching it like within 24 hours. Check back. I'll put it in the link. I'll put it in the description box. If you come back and it's not in the description box, that's because it's in the PDF bundle or whatever. So yeah, he talks about basically one way that you can have sex. Donald Tyson, one way you can have sex with deities is through putting your sexual fluids on their statues or on their sigils or on anything that you have to represent them. If you got a fucking seashell to represent Yemaya, put your nut on that statue. Meditate. Imagine fucking Yemaya. Like call her name. Call whoever the fuck you want to invoke. Call their name. Act like they're there, you know. If you got roommates, like I said, make sure you anoint your space, because you'd be surprised. I used to have roommates and they never heard me. I was saying some wild shit. So put your toys on your altar, put your juices on your altar whenever you're doing sex rituals, whether you're by yourself or you're with a partner. Another thing you can do that I used to do for solo play, and you could do this for partner play too, is get you a mirror, any type of mirror, and draw a sigil on it. You can put like a god sigil, like you could put a veve on it. You can make your own sigil. You can get multiple mirrors, like little, little compact mirrors, where you like open them and they're like that. Put 2 fucking sigils on it. But basically, get a mirror, put a sigil on it, and when you're masturbating, look into it. Mirror magic 101. Because mirrors are portals to other realms, just like sigils are tools to connect you to these other realms. So you're basically just amplifying the energy of that sigil on top of your nut juice, bitch. You about to manifest some shit real quick. You about to decode some emotional blockages real quick. You about to have some dreams. You about to have some revelations. You putting in work. You about to get some shit done. Mirror magic is serious, but do that shit. Fucking do that shit. Put sigils on it. Masturbate into it. Or if you have a partner, get you a mirror. Set it up somewhere to where you can look into it while you're having sex. Look into the sigil. Look into the mirror. If you're not hip to like sigils, sigils is another thing that Daddy Shiva and I talk a lot about. The PDF, the free PDF that's in the description box now, it has links to some sigil information. So check that out if you want to get deeper into sigil information. Yeah, we got a lot of information on that shit too. But sigils, another thing you can do for sex magic with sigils is drawing sigils on yourself. If you're doing solo play and you're masturbating, put sigils on your hand, on your body, or whatever. Even if you fucking somebody else, you put sigils on them, draw sigils on each other, whether it's a god sigil, a veve, or some shit you made up. One of my favorite techniques for drawing sigils is I'll get me like an eyeliner pen. You can get them for 99 cents. Get you an eyeliner pen, draw the sigil. You can get different colors and everything. And get you some translucent setting powder. Get you some good waterproof stuff too. You can get you some waterproof eyeliner for like, it ain't gonna be 99 cents. It's gonna be $1.99. All right. You could get you some eyeliner. Draw the sigil. If you're masturbating, I used to draw the ankh on my palm whenever I was gonna masturbate. and then you put setting powder on it. So that way when it gets wet, when it sweats, when it rubs, it stays. You know, don't put it on your fingers. That's not for that. You don't want to put it inside of you, but on your hands, on your womb, on your heart, on your throat, on your third eye. Any fucking way, anywhere. Get creative. Have fun with it. Use the fucking Reiki symbols. You don't have to be Reiki attuned to fucking use the symbols. If the symbol is truly, like, I mean, the power is with you ultimately. But symbols are geometry, and there's an innate power in geometry that resides outside of you. So that symbol has power whether you are aware of it or not. So use them fucking Reiki symbols. They got the joint with the fucking spiral and shit to pull the energy in and to exude energy out or whatever. Use these use sigils when you're having sex. You can put them on the mirror, like I said. You can put them on your body. Sigils, yes, do that shit. Get you 99-cent eyeliner, any type of pencil eyeliner from anywhere. You can even go to the dollar store. That used to be my favorite place, bitch, when I first was starting. And you know, you don't want to spend too much money on some shit you don't fully understand. You like, well, I ain't about to spend $200 and I don't really know how to use this shit. Go to the dollar store and get crafty. But sigils and some translucent setting powder so that it stays. That's my favorite. Yeah, so let's get into these BDSM archetypes, because just like in the spiritual realm of things, you know, we got archetypes. We got the mother, the maiden, the crone, you know, we got Christ. Like, we have archetypes. With BDSM, there are also archetypes, and if you check the description box, I put in a link there for a quiz, and basically you take the quiz and it helps you figure out what your kink archetype is. So answer them questions. It's kind of fun, and it'll tell you, like, it won't just give you one kink. It'll give you like 80% this, 30% that, 40, like, it'll give you like a whole list of like your most dominant kinks or things that you are likely to be into. And it asks you just regular questions about everyday life and shit. Like, it's gonna psychoanalyze you. Believe it or not. Do that. Do that. We're gonna come back to that, but do that. But in BDSM, there are a shit ton of archetypes. A couple that I have listed that are the most popular in relation to the kinks and fetishes and working with those techniques is rope bunny and rigger. Rope bunny is the person who enjoys being tied up, and the rigger is the person who enjoys tying up someone else. There's the dom and the sub. The dominant is whoever in charge, the fucker. And the sub is the fucky. But it's not even just on that level, because like I was telling you earlier with the total power exchange, I take on a more submissive role in the everyday mental work for my own masculine balancing and all that shit. But you know, in sex, with the physical act of sex, we power play, we switch, you know, we go back and forth. So yeah, there's the dominant, and then there's the subordinate. Then there's the primitive hunter and the primitive prey, which is like a little bit more animalistic. You know, one likes to hunt, literally. You know, when you deal with hunter prey, you start to deal with, like, I don't even want to say brats, but being chased, making them work for it, making her work for it. Yeah, hunter prey dynamic, just like in the wild. And what I like about that dynamic is how primitive it is, because when you're dealing with the shamans and all the shamanistic stuff, if you're into like the Mayan Olmec thing, those shamans are able to connect with these animal totems because they're able to fully step into the psychosis of the animal. They understand the power of the jaguar and the alligator. I mean, even in Kemet, you know, not even just I study a lot of Olmec Mayan stuff, so that's where my reference is coming from. But they fully understand the power of these animals on a divine level, because they're able to step into them. They're able to become these animals. You know, the shaman understands the jaguar in all its divinity because it's able to transform its mind into the mind of the jaguar. And when you're dealing with hunter-prey on a primal level, when you're dealing with those archetypes, I think you can really tap into that. Like I said, bunny play. Bunny play is when people, just like with kitten play, like I said earlier, you dress up like a cat, you got the little cat ears and the collar and you're meowing and shit. They have bunny play also, when you dress up like a bunny. Now, if you were to take that hunter prey and mix it with the bunny play, and you got the fox and you got the rabbit, you really become these animals in the bedroom, which I know it probably sound crazy, like, bitch, I'm not about to act like no fucking fox in the bed. Try it. And it ain't even gotta be that, you know. It could be anything. I think the thing I want you to take away from hunter prey and stepping is the aspect of stepping into a completely different archetype, a completely different psychosis. Well, a psyche, not psychosis. I mean, there's some psychosis in it too, but stepping into a completely different psyche. Role play. Like I said, hunter prey is just the dynamic of being chased and chasing, but ultimately you have to step into this primal zone. You know, they become the lion and the fucking antelope or whatever. You know, they become the horse, they become the kitten, and they are acting out a specific interaction with these animals. So with role play, become Sekhmet, become these archetypes, become these deities, really invoke them, play their mantras, play their mudra. Well, you can't play a mudra. Play their mantras, play their frequencies, say their name, invoke them, really bring them in. Especially after you find out your kink and all that shit, invoke these deities, male and female. Bitch, if you feel like being raw, be fucking raw. Be that shit. Do that shit. Like, and men too. If a man want to be Kali, fucking do that. Shiva got a form where he a woman any fucking way. A lot of these top tier gods have gender bending aspects. They have a male form and a female form. So don't even trip about you being a woman but wanting to role play as a male god. Do not trip. Don't limit yourself. Don't judge yourself, because what did we say at the very beginning of this video? Tantra and BDSM are both judgment-free zones. You can't fully submit to something if there's judgment. So do you boo-boo, but really put yourself in that space. You know, we laugh at like the cosplay porn where they're like, I know y'all been on Pornhub and y'all seen the shit where it's like Star Wars or Star Whores with fucking Darth Vibrator and Princess Leia and shit like that. There's real power in that. You know, you're really becoming the energy that you may not fully understand or are able to tap into on a day-to-day life, because sex is very primitive. It's very primal anyways. So when you're doing that, role play, pick out some deities, do that shit. And actually, before you do anything, go take that test and discover your kinks. Be as honest as possible with that test. Don't judge yourself. Keep it real. Take the test, figure out your kinks, because those kinks are gonna reveal some things. It's gonna reveal a connection to your power, or it's gonna reveal some shit about your shadows. Like it's gonna reveal some shit about you. Like I said, I was curious before I got deep into BDSM and way before I got into Tantra. Like I said, I had control issues. I was more masculine. And I was into impact. Basically, when I would have sex, before I knew about BDSM, when I would have sex, I would want to be dominated. Like, I would want to be fucked. Because I felt like I'm out here working hard. I used to be a business banker, so I had a stressful ass job. I was like, I'm out here working hard. I'm being a boss bitch. I'm out here running shit. I don't want to get into the bedroom and be ran again. I mean, and have to run shit again. I would just fuck me. Like, shut me up. Put me in my place. Like, I didn't want to keep being. I wanted a moment to just not be in charge. And I didn't consciously know that. All I knew was being manhandled, being roughed up and shit. It turned me on. It made me come harder. That's all I knew. But then as I started to learn about Tantra and BDSM, then I started to realize, oh shit, bitch, you got some major control issues. And there's an aspect of you begging to heal that. And to bring some balance into it. That's why whenever you have sex, you want a nigga to check you. You want him to fuck you. You don't want to ride his dick like a BMX, because you've been working all damn day. You've been in charge all day. You know what I'm saying? So that's my story. That's something that BDSM revealed to me through my kinks. So it's gonna reveal. You'll know once you take the test and you really start to sit down and think about it and compare notes. Compare your BDSM notes and what that report tells you to, if you have a book. Some people have a book of shadows and they keep their shit in. Just compare mental notes. Look back on your journey and things that you've been through, and look at the results from your BDSM archetype test. And I 100% guarantee you're going to see a correlation. Whether it's you're a brat, you're into fire play, whatever it is, you're going to see a correlation between your shadows, your subconscious, your feminine power, some unseen aspects of yourself, and your kinks. 100% guarantee. And like I said, if you see some words that you don't understand, I put a link down there, rekink.com. You can go there. All the stuff is free on that website, and you can buy toys and stuff there. They have a lot of free information though. You can go, if it's saying your kink is some shit you ain't never heard of, just go to the website and look it up, and I bet you it's gonna be like, yeah, you right. But that's why I said BDSM and Tantra, they're so intertwined in the most beautiful way. There's so much healing that happens through BDSM. Like, BDSM and Tantra are one and the same. For me, the practice of sexual Tantra is BDSM. It's the same shit. There's no difference. Yeah. There's no difference. There's power in it, and it's all how you use it. It's all how you use this sexual power. Because the more aware of it that you are, even with BDSM, the more aware of the situation, the better it is. Another note or tip for when you're doing, or you're engaging in that BDSM lifestyle with other people, safe words and trigger words are very important. Because in the BDSM world, no doesn't mean no. But this is the perfect time, us as a spiritual community, us watching this video, we understand the power of the word. We understand that when we speak, there's power in the vibrations that are piercing through the air. So if safe words are essential for BDSM play, why not use sacred words? Why not name your sigil? I hope you all are naming your sigils. Name your sigils, because then it brings them to life. It makes them more real. If just do it. I don't even feel like explaining it, because Daddy Shiva has explained it in some free articles. Just do it. Just fucking name your sigils. Give it a name. Make it more alive, more real. All right. Use a sacred safe word. it just adds more power to the situation. All right, so a safe word again is a word that means, like, you have 3 levels of safe words. You have like the red, which is stop. If I say pineapples, that means stop. If I say hotep, that means stop. That means no go, red, too far. Then there's like a slow it down. There's the yellow. So if I say Sikkim, which would be a stupid word to use for slow down, because Sikkim is to give life. Whatever. If I use fucking whoever's name, if I use Zarabunda, that's Apollo Mayombe spirit. If I use his name as my safe word for yellow, it just brings more power into the situation. It brings him into the room. It you just collecting more energy, and you're conscious of it, so you can do more when you know more. When you know better, you do better. So, and then there's green. So there's the red, which means like stop. You want a word for that? That's pineapples. There's this hotep. There's a word for slow down. You're being a little too rough. Or this is a little much for me. It may not even be sexual. It could be a day-to-day thing. Like I said, with me and my lover and our total power exchange. If I ever feel like he's abusing his power, and I'm trying to submit, but I'm really, really, really uncomfortable, I can slow it down by saying a word, our word. And then there's the green light. It's the keep going. That's more of a trigger word. That's more of a take it up to the next level. Some people, that word is like bitch. If you call me in the past, if you call me bitch during sex, that's my cue to turn it up, like intensify it, bring it harder. But that can be another word, I identify with the archetype Kali on a daily basis, but if you're someone who identifies with a more mother goddess, your green word could be Kali. So if you're a woman and you're more sensual, motherly, a more offset type of woman, if your man wants you to turn the heat up, that can be your green word, Kali. Him calling you Kali means turn it up. So awareness is key. And that's what keeps everything safe. That's what keeps you from, because it's easy, sexual trauma, again, because we're dealing with such powerful energy, it's really easy to go in either direction. It's really easy to have a breakthrough or to break apart, like to have a mental breakdown. So you really want to know what you're doing, especially with sex magic, and you're consciously going into your shadows, and you're consciously dealing with these this realm that you can't see. And if you can't see in the dark, shit, it's really gonna be hard, because you don't really know what you're doing. But I hope it's not fucking up. BDSM, that's all the same. It's all the same shit, yeah. Couple more things on integrating the two. Power play, like I said earlier, submit to the feminine. Another way you could do that is through the mommy daddy play. All of this is on the website that I linked you to down here or down in the description box. Anything else? Talked about sigils. Mommy daddy play is still like a submit to the feminine. Altar work, toys, sigils, statues. Put your toys on your altar. Put your juices on your altar. Oh, another tip for not even just solo play. Spirals. Spirals are like the symbol of the feminine and the divine feminine. Spirals. Our universe, our galaxy spins in a spiral. So when you're masturbating, whatever, 1 finger, 2 finger, whole fist, spiral that shit. Play with yourself in spirals. Not a circle, but a spiral. Do big, rub your clit in like a big circle, small circles, like play with it. If you're a guy and you're beating your dick, fucking spiral that shit. If you're a woman and you're sucking dick, spiral that shit. If you're eating pussy, regardless of your gender, fucking spiral your tongue. Spirals is a way to invoke that more energy, just more sacred energy. And when you start fucking with shibari, whatever the bondage shit, you can start tying spirals on you to really solidify that energy, to really tap into it. Anything you want to fucking tap into, just draw it or just do it. Like, if you're doing foreplay, if you didn't draw the sigils or the veves, fucking draw it with your tongue. That's one of my things. I like to spell out. Before I was woke, I would like spell my name with my tongue, like whenever, like on people's bodies. I didn't know that was high level magic, but now that we know better, we can do better, right? Draw the sigils with your tongue. Draw the sigils with whatever the fuck. If you're playing with food, draw the sigils with the food. You're mixing, like, just take these BDSM concepts that I talked about, and make them spicy. Throw some Florida water on that bitch. Throw some magic on it. All right? Get your candles popping. Get your incense popping. All that stuff really is just to help put you in the mood, put you in the zone. They're not essential because the power is with you, and you can do this shit anywhere. That's pretty much it. Did I go over everything? Let me think, because BDSM, like I said, it's a whole world out there. And if I was to go into every fucking kink and its relation and its correlation to the spiritual world, we'd be here for like 4 fucking hours. There's so many kinks. Fire play, for all you sekhmet assholes out there. I mean, even all you Shango ass niggas, or you lightning benders, that's a type of fire. Fire play might be your shit. There's so many kinks. Just take the test. First thing you want to do before you start fucking with sex magic, well, no, not necessarily, because if you want to start integrating, if you want to take your sex magic to the next level of awareness and consciousness, integrate the BDSM shit. Trust me. First thing you want to do, go take that test, figure out your kinks, dissect them, do a psychoanalysis of yourself, figure out the correlation between your shadows, your past experiences, and these kinks, and then start working from there. Start doing sigils, start learning about your kink so that you can tap into it and get some shit done with it. Make your demons your best friends. If you like to be pissed on, don't be ashamed. You ain't gotta go tell everybody, but there's a safe space for you in the BDSM world. All right. So, dungeons, sex clubs, they are intimidating. I suggest if you do want to go to that next level, I would suggest going to one of their events first. Most sex clubs and dungeons you have to have a membership for. They're really cheap. They're like $50 a year. And you get like free partner passes so you can bring people in. Some of them, I know the ones in Vegas, they're more so like bars. The ones in Vegas are really clean. They're like bars, and they have rooms where you can like watch people, because an archetype is exhibitionist. Some people just like to, be seen and worshipped, Archetypes. What fucking goddess doesn't like being worshipped? What fucking god doesn't like being worshipped? But it can be intimidating, so I would suggest going to one of their parties first, like one of their munch events, or just like they have a lot of social gatherings, believe it or not. Even the clubs, like I said, there's regular clubs that aren't specifically or strictly sex clubs or dungeons or whatever, but they have nights. Go meet the people, because it'll ease your mind. Like, I think 50 Shades of Grey put a real bad like tone on BDSM, because that's not what that shit is, yo. He was violating hard. All right. They're normal people. BDSM isn't this hypersexualized whips and handcuffs, fucking horses, bondage, leather. It's not that. Like, the media makes it seem the same way they try to make Tantra seem, like it's just sex. Tantra is not kinky sex. Tantra is not sex. BDSM is not sex. They're both lifestyles. They're both techniques. They're both a means and method to get to this place of submission and understanding and merging with the divine feminine and the unseen, which again is really hard for a lot of us to do. So go to, like I said, whenever you're ready. If you want, if you're curious, sometimes they have free events like mixers and just drink nights and shit. And meet the people, talk to them. Talk to people. If you can't go, there's a lot of chat forums too. That's a good place to start. And honestly, it gets you away from these spiritual niggas. Because a lot of these people in the spiritual community, they just as judgmental as the motherfuckers in the Baptist church down the street from your house. Just as judgmental. Like, they'll make you feel like shit for doing whatever it is you want to do with your nut. You know? So it'll give you a break from that, but there's still a lot of divine power in everything they're doing. It's just a lot of people in the BDSM world aren't conscious of it. Like the people who are in the woke community, the no-teppers. So go to the chat forums, talk to people, get to know, you know, it's a community. It's a community. Just like there's a spiritual community, there's a BDSM community, and they're not freaks, weirdos. They're not people who have mental issues. Just like you, you know? You've been through things, but you aren't the things you went through. So just go talk to them. If you do want to go to them events, do that shit. It does get lit. It is fun. But I do think it's a gradual process. Don't shock yourself into it. So I think I touched on my points. If you all have any questions, I don't respond to DMs quickly, just because I get a lot of spam in my DMs. So if you have questions, email me at kosmickaos33@gmail.com. I put my social media plugs down there. I pretty much never respond to Instagram. My personal Instagram is Kalihavemercy. I do respond to the business Instagram. So if you want to ask me questions on the business Instagram, do that. I'll be happy. This was so amazing. Thank you. I'm glad. I hope I explained everything well. It's a lot, but it's lit. It's fucking lit. This shit like helped save, like, this BDSM helped take my sex magic to the next level. But yeah, if you got questions, emailing me is probably the quickest response, unless I'm having a sale and, you know, you're getting flooded out. But email me, DM me, and if you have any questions, I'll try to connect you with some more of my resources, some chat forums, some websites, some Facebook communities. Facebook got a lot of BDSM communities. They have a lot of you did everything super clear. Thank you. Like I said, if you have any questions, hit me. Facebook is probably my favorite place to go for all of the groups, because they have like general BDSM groups, and like you could talk to the people. You talk to people from every fucking where. And sometimes they'll do like virtual sessions. So sometimes the clubs will have like live streams that you can pay and talk to people and get to know people. There are some of the night, just like with the rave scene, they may look weird because they're into some weird shit, but they're some of the sweetest. They're going through the same shit as you. They're healing traumas. They're some of the sweetest, non-judgmental people you'll ever meet. Unlike some of these woke faggots, and I mean that in the most insulting way. I know the word faggot is a trigger word, and I mean it. And there's some real faggots, not even in a homosexual sense. There's just some real faggots out there in the spiritual community, especially when it comes to sex. There's people abusing sex, and like creating these bonds with other, you know, succubus. They're leeching off of people, they're perverting the energy. There's a lot of manipulation going on because they don't know. You know, there's a lot they don't know. There's a lot they think they know, but they just don't know. So, you know, protect yourself. Protect yourself and your sexual energy, and don't accidentally create like some shit. But yeah, if there's anything else I gotta say, I'll probably tweet about it. Honestly, my Twitter, Kalihavemercy, is like my micro blog. I'll probably tweet about it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, a DM, something. If I get a lot of questions about the same shit, I'll probably just do another video, probably like a free one, a live stream or something. I am gonna do a live stream talking about open relationships, because that's a big thing in the Tantric and the BDSM world. Polyamory, the miseducation of polyamory is coming. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining me and talking about BDSM and Tantra. I really appreciate all of your support. I appreciate you listening to me and trusting me enough to hear what the fuck I got to say, especially since, you know, I don't talk often. You know, I don't get in front of the camera much or hop on Twitter and rant as much. So I really appreciate you all for just being curious about what I gotta say about some shit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Feedback is always welcome. I love making new friends and hearing critiques, hearing about myself. Also, baby Chaos is the cutest. Oh, thank you. So I appreciate you all who are watching. I appreciate you watching this now. I appreciate you, whoever's watching in the future. I love you all. Oh, the miseducation of polyamory. We gotta make an album cover for that one. Yeah. There's a lot of people out here who think polyamory is just a free ticket to go fuck and be with whoever you want. And that's why, like, me and my lover, we don't even like saying that we're poly or in an open relationship, because the stigma and miseducation that's behind it. They think, here's the real tea, bitch. A lot of people think that because we're in an open relationship, they look at it, they step into it with the mentality and the mindset of, it's okay for me to be with someone else's boyfriend, or it's okay for me to be with someone else's girlfriend. They never think that one day I may catch feelings for this person, and my boyfriend or girlfriend who I love is gonna be with someone else. So a lot of women and a lot of men who approach my lover and I, they're okay with it in the beginning, and they think they're not insecure. Just because you know you cute don't mean you're not insecure. Just because you know you're a bad bitch doesn't mean you're not insecure. Sometimes when you don't know your soul's place in this realm or your position in someone else's life, you get real insecure. So, but that's a whole nother video for a whole nother time. I'm gonna get out of here. Again, thank you so much. I will see you all later.